hopefully when something horrible like this happens, what should happen is that everyone calms down for a second and says, hold it, what's going on? We're spinning out of control. You're not so different from me, and I'm not so different from you. We're kind of both want the same things, even though there's some differences here, right? So begin with respect.
You know what? I'm just going to jump in here first. Kaustubha Kashmiri, he completely offered full respect to him. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, Lord Caitanya completely sat there. I'm just listening. I'm your student. You're my senior. Vyankata Bhatt, right?
Prakashananda.
Right? Yeah. Every time Lord Caitanya went in debate, it wasn't with a pugnacious attitude. You like that word? It was with it was genuine sweetness and a softness that brought the person closer to them.
That's right. And even when what happened when he glorified the Ganges like that is then Śrī Caitanya said, that was really beautiful. That was incredible what you just did. There are a few faults in it. Could you speak to those faults and describe them to us?
Right.
And then Kaustubha Kashmiri became very upset. There's no arrogant, right? There's no fault in what I say. You're just a boy. How could you criticize? And then he very carefully pointed out the subtleties, the subtle faults in the composition.
Right. And it became obvious, like, wow, this little kid is much more learned than me. And then he says, and Lord Caitanya said, well, why don't you go home and tomorrow?
But even before that, I just wanted to say, when he pointed out those faults, his students, Śrī Caitanya's students, started to laugh. They started to laugh at Kaustubha Kashmiri. Oh, look, this big star comes in here and gets all arrogant. There's nothing wrong with what I said. And then our teacher pointed out his faults. Ha, 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 ha. And Śrī Caitanya said, no, don't laugh. Right? He didn't want to humiliate him. And so he instructed he could have celebrated in that. And you would see that in Charlie Kirk's kind of things, not just him, others too, right? Then you got everybody laughing and humiliating the person that he just defeated. And there's a lot of that energy. Śrī Caitanya he wanted to quash that energy.
Right. And when people like Charlie Kirk or someone from the left has those ability to bring out the points without that I'm trying to crush you spirit.
That lower nature.
Then actual truth can be found.
Right.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Super Soul Farm, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a Bhakti Yoga podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York, Kaustubha Das. Welcome to the show. Today is Monday, September 15th, 2025. This is episode 1669. Krishna Miracle Monday, Kaustubha. Good morning. Welcome back.
He's got a positive thing going on here.
I had a great weekend. I love teaching yoga. I love doing satsangs. I love doing kirtan. I just had and also I was sort of like not super excited about it because I've been really sort of like staying at home lately. But as soon as I do it, I love doing it. So I went away. We did a great kirtan night with Ish and Maya at Jai Yoga Brooklyn with Ramit and Carla, their studio. Yeah. What a fun evening that was. And then we did a really nice program at the Bhakti Center yesterday. It was so nice to teach at the Bhakti Center. And the Bhakti Center is such a magical place. And so grateful for that space.
All right.
Yeah. It's like it's a spiritual institution as opposed to just like a regular yoga studio. It's like when I first started doing yoga, there was no yoga studios. Isn't that weird? All the yoga studios were connected to a spiritual institution. So like I would do yoga at Integral Yoga, that was connected to Swami Satchidananda. That's where I do yoga. And it was all sort of connected. It was all sort of like you're chanting Om, you're doing some pranayam. They read from the Yoga Sutras or something like that. So to have the Bhakti Center there, it's very special. It's Bhakti yoga. So and it's Radhanath Swami's like heart is there. And you feel like I know this is pleasing to him that we go down there and do our programs. And I saw your beautiful little face.
Mm-hmm.
It was great. I had a great weekend.
Good, Raghunath. I'm glad you're
Got
happy.
back super late. Hung out with Grandma. Everything was good.
You should have just stayed with Grandma last night.
You know what? Yeah. I'm special.
Okay.
Anyway, how are you?
I'm doing good. Doing good.
Okay. Announcement I have to make about Italy. Italy it's on and it's filling up, and we have less space this year. So if you're interested in our Tuscany trip, go to wisdomofthesages.com, sign up for Italy. Family friendly, teen friendly, beautiful Italy. Really good if you have a partner that supports you in bhakti, but not really. It's their path. It's a real like. It's soft on the bhakti. It's like transcendental vacationing, and it's truthfully, for the cost of going to Italy, people drop thousands and thousands of dollars to go to Italy on a retreat. You get all that sightseeing in, you get the beautiful Italy, and it's not that expensive. So hit us up, and also wisdom trainings happening in. I was about to say Italy, in India, GEV. So if you haven't signed up, that starts January 11th on my birthday. I'm turning the corner, Kaustubha. I'm going to be 60 years old. Unbelievable, isn't it? I'm turning the corner. Whew. And I'm going to go in strong.
Okay.
I'm going to go in strong. I'm looking forward to it.
All right.
Yeah, that is also on wisdomofthesages.com or any of our programs that we're doing, 200-hour, 300-hour teaching trainings. Why do you always cut me off with you? Just let me finish
Look how quick he flipped.
No, because now we've added all this stuff. Let me just finish my announcement. That's all I'm saying. Thank you.
It's so tedious hearing it every day.
Okay, well, if you say it's tedious, then it gets even more. Just let me say it.
I want to stop you from saying it.
I know, and that's not going to stop it. That's going to elongate it.
All right.
God, look at Professor Snooky's looking at us. She's like, well, these two.
He was so happy a second ago. I said one time.
I was happy.
Look, he's hateful now.
Why do this? Why throw like obstacles in front of my path?
Okay.
You don't make these announcements. They're important
announcements. I know.
I know. Well, people need to hear it. People need to hear it. Some people never listen to this podcast. You're looking at these same faces.
I know why they don't, because they tune in and they hear all these announcements. They get sick of it.
Are you kidding? Listen to any other podcast. They're bringing on like
okay, all right, let's stop.
AG1 commercials.
Let's stop. Mary, do you have any other announcements?
I do. We have some Sage Group meetup opportunities going on this week.
Stop.
The first one is Thursday.
Stop.
Raghunath.
That's the last time I'm going to do it, but that's what I'm talking about.
Anyway, our next round of Sage Group is going to be Monday, October 6th. It starts. And so registration is going to open up this Sunday. But before that, we have some Sage Group member meetup opportunities, and they can check those out at wisdomofthesages.com.
Okay.
Okay, good.
Raghu, we want to talk about something serious, right?
Yeah, there was like such a disturbing thing. We're not going to dwell on this, and we're going to extract what we can as Vaishnavas. We don't take any political side on Wisdom of the Sages. Doesn't mean we don't have opinions, but we never like to sacrifice the highest truth for any secondary truths of the temporary world.
Okay.
Because sometimes you take a political side, and it's a relative side, meaning you might turn off somebody from the highest truth who has a different political leaning than you. Doesn't mean we don't have personal opinions, but we realize also this is like a very temporary world. We know very little. We don't even know what's behind the curtains of politics. For the most part, we just hear what we hear. So we stay back from it, and the main thing is we keep the main thing the main thing. That's where we stand. But with all this hell that broke loose this way, we want to see how, as Vaishnavas, we can extract something valuable here, and how do we stand, and how do we interpret this, and how can we move forward when the world is in extra chaos? How can we move through like a Vaishnava? And guess what? Vaishnavas debate things, but how do they debate? And what are some boundaries in a debate? So, Kaustubha, I'm gonna pass the torch to you, my brother.
Okay, I'll just share a few thoughts, but yeah, you and I wanted to discuss some ideas of like how we can disagree with each other without
Sure.
Hitting
You and I
each other.
disagree on everything.
Yeah.
But not the main thing.
Okay, that's
not
right.
the main thing.
If it wasn't for that.
That's why we had that little play fight right now.
Yeah,
I told him
was
before
all...
the show, cut me off, and then
Okay.
I'm going to cut
Then I'm
you
gonna
off.
Then I'm going to act, and I'll stop here. So, no, but first of all, it was, of course, we're talking about this assassination of Charlie Kirk, which happened just after it happened like right after our last show, right, which was last Wednesday.
Yeah.
And it was honestly just visually, it was so brutal.
Oh, jeez.
So I think that's part of why I really feel like a lot of people are shaken up by it. For me, what it was our national discourse has become more and more brutal, and then we saw it in front of our eyes. Like we saw this gross, visceral manifestation of it.
Sure.
In such a horrible way. And I think it's rocked people. The devotees somehow can find a way not to be rocked. We kind of like, the yogis kind of know that this world is going to get ugly.
Right?
You know, it's going to get really ugly. And what we want to try to do is move through it in ways that we minimize that. And it's not that we have to be like disengaged from political discourse, but how will we, if we engage with it, how do we engage with it?
Sure.
And I want to say, like, with Charlie Kirk, there's a lot that he said that I actually agreed with, and there's a lot that he said that I disagreed with. And there's something about him that I actually really admire, that he took, like, in our modern age of like social media and the things that we have now that we didn't have when you and I were growing up. If you and I were growing up, if you wanted to have like such a public platform, there were very few avenues available. Like, can I have a show on television where I share my mind that thousands of people are going to hear it?
Sure.
No, like very few people had that opportunity. Whereas now, anyone can grab a microphone, get on YouTube, and start to speak.
Right.
And he, I think as a young man, he was kind of like politically active. And I think something happened when, I forget what it was, but like when he was in high school, he did something and kind of blew up on the media. And he must have gotten the idea that, I think he entered college and was like, I don't need to do this. I can just read books and share my thoughts. And he found a way to make that happen. And I kind of see it as a Brahminical way of living, where it's like, which was like his kind of main thing that he built his whole thing on. I'm going to go to a college campus, which is a place of learning and discourse and discussion. I'm going to set up a table, and I'm going to speak my mind, and I'm willing to hear people disagree with me, and let's talk about things. Like, in principle, I think that's a beautiful thing. It's a courageous thing, and it's what we should be doing, is actually talking with each other and trying to understand each other. So like that, I actually really appreciate. But I also feel that he was a provocateur, which I think is harmful, and which kind of contributes to the ugliness that we see. And I just wanted to share like one example of that. I don't want to share it to criticize him, but I just think it's such a clear example of what the problem is. And that was another really gruesome event, right? But because we didn't see it in front of our eyes, it didn't shake us up as much, and it didn't get as much attention, I think, because his murder was like right there on film for everyone.
Yeah.
But like a few years back, in all these, with Trump, with Charlie Kirk now, and with what I'm about to mention with this Nancy Pelosi's husband, these are like mentally disturbed people. And I think all of us are becoming more and more mentally disturbed because of all the hatred in our discourse. So in any case, a man broke into Nancy Pelosi's home. She's the Speaker of the House of the United States of America, right? Which is like, next to the president, is practically like the highest position. And she wasn't there at the time, but he went in there with like zip ties and duct tape and a hammer, with the intention to tape her up and interrogate her and break her knees. Like, that was actually what he was doing. She wasn't there. Her husband was. He hit her husband with a hammer. He was hospitalized. The police showed up just in time. It was another very gruesome event of political violence. And when he was commenting on that, when Charlie Kirk was commenting on that, he made a statement. And the statement was and I hope I say this as accurately as possible, but it was like some great patriot should bail this man out. And then he said the reason is so that we could really talk to him and find out what's going on, because he had suspicions that the media was kind of misrepresenting it. So if you feel that the media might be representing it, I get it. Fair enough. Media is commonly misrepresenting things. But Charlie Kirk is intelligent enough to know that when someone breaks into the house of the Speaker of the House and violently attacks her husband with a hammer, that there's going to be no bail. Right? So when he said some great patriot should bail this man out, that is a statement not made to find truth. That's a statement made to provoke, to inflame. Right? It's meant to inflame people on both sides. It's meant to really get under the skin of the left. And it's meant to kind of rile up the right. Like, yeah, we got a guy that's not afraid to confront, and, And is that kind of like, that's where I think he wasn't the person that he was sometimes presenting himself to be. Like, I just want to talk, let's share our opinions, and let's debate it out, It was like, no, let's provoke hatred. Let's provoke anger. Let's inflame emotions. And I think that's what we need to be careful to do. So as bhakti yogis, when we're going to find ourselves in conversations like this, even amongst ourselves,
Sure. It happens all the time within nuances of spiritual opinions about Siddhanta, about the conclusion of about your lineage, or about what your lineage agrees upon. And you can take it. I think we got to get to the essence of what you're talking about right now. Mm-hmm. Which is, how do you discern? How do you use your intelligence without condemning or hatred? And I think a great example is someone like Lord Caitanya. He was a debater. He was a professional debater as a child. And when Keshava Kashmiri came, he was like a 10-year-old boy. Keshava Kashmiri, who was the Digvijay, that means in all directions, he was the most powerful debater. And so,
which was a big thing in those days. That was the rock star.
That was it. To be like what Charlie Kirk does on campus. These guys would go town to town and debate the most learned person in the village. And Lord Caitanya was from this village of education, where some of the biggest institutions of education were in Navadvip. And so when he went there, Keshava Kashmiri heard of him. His reputation proceeded. He said, "Oh, so you're this young Nimai Pandit. Let me see what you got." And Nimai Pandit said, "Oh, I don't have anything. I have nothing. I know nothing. You tell me. You do something for me. You tell me. You're here. You're so learned. Glorify the Ganges. We are all here by the banks of the Ganges. Let me hear something wonderful about the Ganges." And he he was so polite. The way he dealt with them.
Yeah, respectful.
And it was a little playful, a little teasy, but it came off very respectful. You are so learned. I don't know much. And all of a sudden, he filled that ego. See, this is it. We're not just trying to crush the other side.
Right.
We are trying to get to the bottom in a more gentle way. And the fact is, if we really want to persuade someone to our way of thinking, you don't try to crush them. They're not going to be like, you crushed me, I am yours.
Right.
You win them over with love. You win them over with an open heart. Matter of fact, the people that have really inspired me, because there are devotees too who are just so sharp, they can chop away illusion, and they're intense. But those aren't the people that have brought me on the bhakti path, really. The people that brought me on the bhakti path, when I just see their heart, I see their smile, I see the way they live, I was like, this person is embodied with bhakti. I want to be like them. Those are the people that inspire me. So I think Charlie Kirk was very sharp. I think he was very, very intelligent. But I see these in a lot of political debaters is they just want to crush the other side.
Humiliate, embarrass, mock.
Humiliate, embarrass, mock. And it's one of those things. It's like, I may not agree with what you say, but in this country, I defend your right to say it. That's what free speech is. You want to say it, then you say it. But I defend your right to say it because that's what we've created, a place where you can speak your mind and I can speak my mind. And as Vaishnavas, we can hear the other side because we don't want to shut down the other side, even if they're completely wrong. Why? Because I want to get to the truth. Yeah. If I want to go kick their butt, what to speak of, kill them, then I've become, if you hate, then you've become hateful. You lose the game. You lose. And if I really, and we accept the bottom line is that everybody is a spirit soul. Although there are people out there, we really want to believe that's not true. Everybody is a pure spirit soul. Everybody can change, and people do change. People change every day. People change every moment. They sometimes flip-flop completely of what we change from what we were. Look back to where we were at 17 years old, 20 years old, 25 years old. Sometimes our philosophy changes 100%. Why condemn a person, hate a person? Why not see some good in them and bring that spiritual, they are spirit souls. Why not try to churn that out of them?
Thank you, Raghunath. So would you like to read these principles that we came up with here?
No, you read. List. You read. Romero.
Okay, so we've done stuff like this before, but principles for disagreeing without division, right?
Okay.
You like that? One, begin with respect, right? Like genuine respect, right? Assume good intentions and recognize the dignity of others, even when their views differ strongly from yours. That's so essential, right?
Right.
The fact is, a lot of times, hopefully when something horrible like this happens, what should happen is that everyone calms down for a second and says, hold it, what's going on? We're spinning out of control. You're not so different from me and I'm not so different from you. We're kind of both want the same things, even though there's some differences here, right? So begin with respect.
You know what? I'm just going to jump in here first. Kaustubha Kashmiri, he completely offered full respect to him. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, Lord Caitanya completely sat there. I'm just listening. I'm your student. You're my senior. Vyankata Bhatt,
Prakashananda.
Right? Yeah. Every time Lord Caitanya went in debate, it wasn't with a pugnacious attitude. You like that word? It was with it was genuine sweetness and a softness that brought the person closer to them.
That's right. And even when what happened when he glorified the Ganges like that is then Śrī Caitanya said, that was really beautiful. That was incredible what you just did. There are a few faults in it. Could you speak to those faults and describe them to us?
Right.
And then Kaustubha Kashmiri became very upset. There's no arrogant, right? There's no fault in what I say. You're just a boy. How could you criticize? And then he very carefully pointed out the subtleties, the subtle faults in the composition.
Right. And it became obvious, like, wow, this little kid is much more learned than me. And then he says, and Lord Caitanya said, well, why don't you go home and tomorrow?
But even before that, I just wanted to say, when he pointed out those faults, his students, Śrī Caitanya's students, started to laugh. They started to laugh at Kaustubha Kashmiri. Oh, look, this big star comes in here and gets all arrogant. There's nothing wrong with what I said. And then our teacher pointed out his faults. Ha, 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 ha. And Śrī Caitanya said, no, don't laugh, right? He didn't want to humiliate him. And so he instructed he could have celebrated in that. And you would see that in Charlie Kirk's kind of things, not just him, others too, right? Then you got everybody laughing and humiliating the person that he just defeated. And there's a lot of that energy. Śrī Caitanya he wanted to quash that energy.
Right. And when people like Charlie Kirk or someone from the left has those ability to bring out the points without that, I'm trying to crush you spirit.
That lower nature.
Then actual truth can be found.
Right.
Charlie Kirk was pretty good about that. I've re-listened to a bunch of these things ever since all this stuff. And I was like, he's trying to get to something. I've seen him like.
This is what I would characterize it like this. If someone approached him respectfully, and so this teaches something too, right? Then he could have a very respectful conversation, even with someone from the left. He would be like,
I've seen him do that too.
Yeah, but if someone came to him aggressively,
perhaps in a pugnacious way.
Yes, he generally he would turn it on and try to humiliate them.
Yeah.
If he could have said, "Hey, let's take this down a notch and let's try to get on the same page. Let's respect one another." But he would generally like throw more gas on the fire.
Right.
And so, but we did. So that teaches us two things, and one of them is that if we approach people respectfully, sometimes we're responding to someone coming to us, and sometimes we're approaching someone. When it's done with respect, we can find ourselves, even with people that are argumentative, we can find ourselves and having a civil conversation. And as you're saying, Śrī Caitanya did that again and again and again. We see it in all his conversations. When Sarvabhauma was giving his whole what was revealed as kind of like a slanted presentation of Vedanta.
Yeah.
Śrī Caitanya didn't say anything.
Didn't say anything for days.
For 7 days until he was asked to speak, right? Until he was asked.
Until he was asked to speak.
And then he respectfully dealt with him, Okay. It's a good point, Raghunath. Thank you. So the second point was seek to understand. And this is something, it's not just like a sentimental thing to say, but you actually have to be able to understand why the person feels. Because they're a fascist, that's why they feel this way, right?
Right. Really? At the core of their being, they're a fascist? Come on.
Yeah.
At the core of their being, they're a pure spirit soul.
Yeah, try to really understand why they're holding this position. And we've said in the past, you should be able to explain to them why they understand it that way, even better than they're able to express it. Now we're, try to bring it there so that you can really say exactly. Sometimes we see some of these things where you have someone interviewing another person and they're on opposite ends of the spectrum, and you keep hearing this phrase, so what you're saying is this, so what you're saying is this, so what you're saying is this.
Yeah.
And they're giving an exaggerated, warped, slanted vision of what that person just said, and the person say, no, that's not what I said. So actually seek to understand and then be able to say it back to them so they say, yes, that's what I'm saying.
Right. They want to win the debate and not just seek to understand a person.
Yeah. Let me create a straw man of your position. No. Work. I could work to create a straw man form of what they're trying to say, which is not going to help anyone, and it's not going to help anyone get to the truth. It might help me defeat them. Or I could work to really understand what they mean. And if we put our effort in there, then we can actually have a civil conversation and maybe get to the truth.
Oh, this number 3 is nice.
Yeah. Find common ground.
Find common ground.
What do we agree with? Let's first establish what we agree upon, right? It's helpful for the conversation, both in terms of just in terms of getting to the truth. It's also helpful emotionally, right?
Sure. What do we have in common?
What do we have in common? What do we both want out of this?
We want a peaceful society, right? A lot of people can come together with this one statement. What is our common ground?
Yeah. Okay. And that's to start with similarities and shared concerns. Okay. Number 4, beware of provocation, right? Especially in yourself. You can point out to someone, hey, you're making a point, but maybe you're saying it in a more provocative way than needs to be, or especially in ourselves, right? Am I saying something that's going to provoke a reaction, or am I saying something that's to get to truth?
Sure.
And then the other one is disagree without divisions, right? Critique arguments without dehumanizing people. Right? That's very, very important, right? Okay. So we just want to share those things.
All right, that's good. We can even get into the Bhagavatam. I was like, we're never going to get to the Bhagavatam.
We can get to
this is the way Vaishnavas deal with anger, with disagreement, with their mind is a big part of becoming a Vaishnava. It's not robe. It's not the robe. It's not the tilak. It's not the the ponytail. It's not the sari. It's not the kirtan. I went to a kirtan. If you just go to these kirtans, but you still have the mentality of friend and enemy, we're not making any advancement. You really have to be able to sit with these things and not dive into and relish someone's apparently bad qualities and start. You can disagree and you can say what that is doing is not a good thing. And you can talk like that. But when you start condemning that person, like that's what they are at their core, we've lost. And trust me, we're all going to get tested. First, we've got to, zip ourselves up, clean up our act, chant some japa, don't be so loose around our edges with our habits and our behavior. We've got to offer our food. And then we're going to start getting this type of mental modifications we're going to have to do. How we look at people that hurt us, how we look at situations where we feel hurt, betrayed, mistreated, how I'm going to react to those things. This is what's going to make us a Vaishnava. And it's very, very important because this is we keep chanting this mantra. Guess what? We're going to keep getting brought to this place. And we're going to either pass the test or we're going to fail. Fail means I've got a lot of enemies. I've got a lot of resentment. These are the people I don't like. These are the people that I like. And we're going to overlook what people actually are, a pure spirit soul. And we're going to start to condemn. And then we are no better than everybody else that we hate. We become hateful ourselves.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Raghunath.
Oh, thank you.
All right.
See? There's unity in diversity, my friend.
Okay.
See? We don't have to be the same, Kaustubha. Accept me for what I am.
That was a provocative statement right there.
Oh, was it? Narayanam namaskrityanam chaivanarottamam divim saraswatim vyasam tatojayam madire. Before we start in the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, which is a very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the Supreme Lord Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayeshu badreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavati utamashloke bhaktir bhavati naishtaki. By regular attendance in class in the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotees, all that is troublesome to the heart will become eradicated. And loving service to the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, will be established as an irrevocable fact. Om Jnana Tamarandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmidatam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my teachers are opening my eyes with a torchlight of knowledge. I offer my obeisances at their lotus feet. Reading from the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 11, Text 55.
Raghunath, this chapter is very interesting.
Yes?
Which is, it's kind of like a bit of a grab bag chapter. Like they just threw a bunch of stuff in it.
A bunch of little things. It's sort of like a salad bar.
It was kind of like a salad bar.
One of those like Vegas salad bars where you got like spaghetti, Chinese food, it's like a buffet.
It was a bit of a buffet because quite a few of the chapters we're reading, like there's one Leela that it's the whole chapter, or sometimes even several chapters for one Leela. This was one chapter with just a bunch of little smorgasbord, appetizer, finger food kind of things thrown in.
What's the name of this chapter again? Do you remember?
The Childhood Pastimes of Krishna.
Okay.
Now I did a little, let's just go through what we heard so far. Okay, we're almost at the end now.
Okay.
But it started with the trees had just been pulled down. Little Krishna had just, in the previous chapter, had pulled down these huge trees. And these two beings, beautiful, effulgent beings, came out of those trees and they said their prayers to Krishna, where they were glorifying him.
Appreciating Krishna and had deep remorse for their behavior.
That was there. But what I want to highlight is also that they were saying, like, you are the Supreme Person, Vishnu, the imperishable controller. You're the time factor. You're beyond the material manifestation. You're the super soul. They're identifying him as the supreme ultimate Brahman, right?
Yeah.
Now we go, and Nanda Maharaj, Krishna's father, shows up on the scene at the beginning of this chapter. And he's trying to figure out what happened. Like, what happened to these trees? He can't figure it out. But he sees sweet little baby Krishna is there, oh my God, the trees could have fell on him, So he's got this, apparently he doesn't know as much as those beings that came out of the trees understood. And so he unties little Krishna right? Oh God, his mother tied him up. He could have gotten hit by the tree. I got to talk to her. Don't tie him up anymore. He might get hit by a tree. He's thinking like that. And then there's a few verses that show how Krishna is subdued by the love of his devotees. And there's an example that an elderly gopi could hold up a little sweet and she could just make Krishna dance however he wants, however she wants.
Seen little Krishna dance.
Yeah, he's like, a minute ago he was being glorified as like the supreme being and the ultimate controller, and now he's a little baby dancing and the mother is holding the thing. Right? And then there's another thing where, like I said, sometimes Yashoda and her friends would say, "Oh, Krishna, go pick up those shoes, bring them over here." And Krishna would be like pulling on him and it wasn't strong enough.
Well, little kids do that, they carry shoes over their parents sometimes.
Yes, yeah. And so, but sometimes he was showing, I'm not strong enough to pull it. I need your help. He would point at it like, I can't do it. But that was showing something. This is an incredibly beautiful theology of like the supreme controller just becoming controlled by love and just becoming just a toy in their hands, of those that really love him. And then the next two verses, 10 and 11, showed how eager Krishna is to reciprocate with any love shown to him. And that was with a woman that was selling fruit, and Krishna came and he had a few grains that he offered.
He had nothing. It seemed like nothing. And then she gave everything to Krishna.
Yeah.
She got so much back.
And she got so much back. He filled her thing with jewels. And then there was a beautiful, it was a demonstration of how the women in the town were relating to Krishna's mothers, that they were calling him home for dinner. Krishna, please come home. You're playing all day. You're all dirty. Let me bathe you. Let me feed you. And then there was Nanda's conception. Nanda and the men all got together. And they're saying, there's been a lot of danger in the neighborhood. We've been lucky. Like Krishna's been attacked in different ways, and there's been some really inauspicious things. And I think we need to leave the place that we're in so that we can protect Krishna, right? Because like there's a lot of things going on that seem dangerous to him. Maybe we need to move. And so they all get in their carts, and then they go from Gokul to Vrindavan, and then they give us a snapshot of just how beautiful Krishna was, how beautiful a Krishna-centric community is, how beautiful all the ladies looked, how sitting on the carts, and everybody's traveling together. All the beautiful cows are going with them, and everybody's singing Krishna's glories as they're traveling. And then we get another snapshot of Krishna playing with his friends, sporting on the bank of the river now. Right? And then a couple demons came by and Krishna had to fight them. And then all the kids come home from the day and they're telling all the adults, you should have seen what Krishna did. He fought and killed this big bird attacked us and everything like that. And Krishna won the fight. And they're all excited. And that's where this leaves us now. But just think about like what's being communicated here, that person that we're all afraid of, that God is a person. Try to understand who he is and how he reciprocates and how he operates and how those that love him feel and the emotions that they feel. This chapter is showing that in so many interesting ways.
I think with all the sort of like psychological beatdowns we got from an authoritarian concept of God, we need the supreme personality of Godhead to be a sweet baby boy.
Exactly.
A sweet little toddler.
Little butter boy.
Little butter baby. Text 55. The coward men headed by Nanda Maharaj began to contemplate. It is very astonishing that although this boy Krishna has many times faced many varied causes of death, by the grace of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, it was these causes of fear that were killed instead of him.
Right. Putana came,
taking away your fear.
She died. The tornado came, but the tornado went down.
He must be protected by God, this boy.
Yeah.
That's how they're looking at it.
He's so innocent that he's being protected.
Although the causes of death, the Daityas, those are the bad guys, were very fierce, they could not kill this boy Krishna. Rather, because they came to kill innocent boys, as soon as they approached, they themselves were killed. Exactly like flies attacking a fire.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's a really horrible way to go.
Well, it's quick.
I don't know if it is. No, it's not quick.
What, to die in a fire like a fly?
Because what happened? I don't want to get into it. Their wings burn, and then they.
Okay, all right, forget it. Their wings burn. How do you know this?
Because I camp sometimes, or I have candles lit when my mom's not around.
All right.
I like candles. Although the causes of death, the daityas were very okay. The words of persons in full knowledge of Brahman never become untrue. It is very wonderful that whatever Garga Muni predicted, we are now actually experiencing in all detail.
Interesting, right? They're saying Garga Muni, that's someone we really respect, is like a sadhu.
He understands Brahman. He understands the absolute truth.
Yeah, so whatever he speaks, it comes true. And
this is
he was
Vach
right.
City. Vach City. Whatever he speaks will happen.
Yeah.
In this way, all the cowherd men, headed by Nanda Maharaj, enjoyed topics about the pastimes of Krishna and Balaram with great transcendental pleasure. That's what we're doing right now. Mm-hmm. And they could not even perceive material tribulations.
Very interesting. Very interesting, right? This relates to what our topic was today that we were talking about. It's not that deep devotees don't care about the world and the troubles that it goes through. But when you have this anchoring of truth that comes through Bhagavad Gita and Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, and when you have this personal connection that transcends everything, then even you can go through very troubled times. And it's saying here they're practically not even perceiving it. Why don't you read the commentary on this?
Sure. Text 58. Here is an instruction about the result of studying, discussing the Krishna Leelas that appear in the Bhagavatam. Nanda Maharaj and Yasoda in Vrindavan appeared like ordinary persons of this material world, but they never felt the tribulations of this world, although they sometimes met many dangerous situations created by the demons. This is a practical example. If we follow in the footsteps of Nanda Maharaj and the Gopas, the cowherd men, we can all be happy by discussing activities of Krishna. Then there's a quote from the Bhagavatam. Vyasadeva is given this literature so that everyone may understand one's transcendental position simply by discussing Bhagavat Katha. That's what we're doing right now, so discussing the Bhagavatam. Even at the present moment, everyone everywhere can be happy and free from material tribulations by following the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. There is no need of austerities and penances, which in this age are very difficult to perform. Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu therefore declared, Sarvatma snaparam param vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. By our Krishna conscious movement, we are trying to distribute this Bhagavatam so that anyone in any part of the world can be absorbed in Krishna consciousness by hearing and chanting about Krishna and be free from all material tribulations. The fact is, when we do zoom out, we understand the material world is always prospering and collapsing at the same time. So right now we're like, hey, everything's great. What are you talking about? Oh, there's a war here and a war there. Don't worry. It's coming your way because seasons change. And we're at the top of the wheel right now, and the wheel changes. And then the United States or Europe, the countries will be at the bottom. These things change. Whether we're in good times or bad, or as the Bhagavad Gita says, whether you're on the highest planet in the material world or the lowest planet in the material world, they're actually all suffering. Why? Because even in those high places of material enjoyment, you are still going to lose everything. You are still going to die. So what can we do in this world of changing seasons? We can be right in the middle. This is what yogis hear this. This is what we talk about samadhi or a sameness. Understanding I'm not going to take shelter of the pleasures of this material world to give me juice, to give me life. Because when the seasons flip and everything's dark, I'm going to be like, okay, where is that house? Where is my car? Where is my wealth? Where's my comfort? Now I'm sitting here destitute. We have to learn to find our deeper, sublime pleasure in this hearing and chanting about Krishna. And that you can take with you anywhere. You can take it to a higher planet, or if you're living in a penthouse, or you're in the Maldives, and you're laying on the beach, and you got a photograph of your feet. Here's me in the Maldives. Or if you're in a prison cell, or if you're in solitary confinement, or if the world is crumbling around you, or if you're dying, or people you love are dying, then you hear the holy name. And this is what we're training ourselves to have nothing but Krishna. Because you know why? In reality, we have nothing but Krishna.
There you
right?
Go. That's
reality.
That's right.
You have your feet in the Maldives for a weekend.
You know, I really appreciate what you're saying, Raghu. And this here, Prabhupada in this commentary, he was saying that, you know, there's a way to be free from material tribulations. And he was saying it in the context of hearing Krishna's Leelas. And I know that a lot of people might say, oh, you just bury your head in the sand and hear these stories and ignore the truth. But if you look at the sentence, he said, Vyasadeva, who was this incredibly brilliant sage that he worked in political arenas, you know, like he would walk into Hastinapur and start to advise the king, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, Vyasadeva has given this literature so that everyone may understand. Right? This is the point. Understand one's transcendental position simply by discussing Bhagavad Gita. It's not to hide or run away from everything. It's to go deeper into it and really understand who we are. And if we could actually do that, then we could learn to operate together in unity, you know, in a healthy way. It's because if you get to the left and right and all the insanity that's going on, if you get to the root of it, it has to do with not understanding who we are. And that becomes a cause of fear and anger, and it just spins more and more out of control. So Prabhupada's saying that there's a depth of understanding in these books. And if we understand it, we understand who we are. We understand who we are in relation to God. We understand who we are in relation to this world. We understand who we are in relation to each other. And that understanding is actually the cure. And if enough of us can understand it, we can operate together very harmoniously. And even if we can't, if I understand it myself, I can transcend and sail through all of this, you know. So he's saying that with Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda, you know, all this crazy stuff was happening, but because they were so absorbed in thinking about Krishna, they understood. They understood exactly who they are eternally in that relationship, and they couldn't even perceive any material troubles. Sometimes you see devotees like this, right? Like everybody else is rocked and confused and fearful, and they're just like, everything's okay, everything's all right. You know, they have that grounding.
You're pretty steady.
Thank you, Raghunath.
I think you are. I'm gonna give a shout out to Kaustubha. He's pretty steady, and things are falling apart. I'm like, I'm very emotional.
but in a Krishna conscious way.
I gotta chill. Krishna
conscious way. And we have one last verse. And Raghunath, this verse, to me, it's just a perfect verse to end this chapter. Where, again, last chapter, we're hearing about how Krishna is the origin of everything and the supreme Brahman and Vishnu and the God in everyone's heart. And how does this chapter end out? Who is this Krishna?
Who is this Krishna? In this way, Krishna and Balaram passed their childhood age in Brajabhumi by engaging in activities of childish play, such as playing hide and seek, constructing a make-believe bridge on the ocean, and jumping here and there like monkeys. Right? He's like acting out Hanuman's Leela. This is what our Lord does.
It's amazing, right?
It is actually amazing. Miss Mara. By the way, I hope we were complete in our, I hope we added something to this, the Charlie Kirk thing. I hope we weren't insensitive in any ways. You know, heart goes out to the family.
Yes.
Poor children. But I hope we extracted something out of that.
Ready for some takeaways?
Yeah, please, Mayor.
Don't sacrifice the highest truth for temporary truth.
Okay.
Yeah. We're in the business of the highest truth.
Yogis know this world is going to get ugly.
It's going to get ugly. Know it for sure.
Discern without condemning or hating.
Discern without condemning or hating.
Win them over with love.
Okay.
Assume good intentions and recognize dignity.
Recognize dignity.
That's nice.
What is our common ground?
Let's figure that out.
Good name for a coffee shop. Common ground.
Oh, good. Look at him.
Common ground.
Krishna is a dancing doll in the hands of those who love him.
That's right.
Be a good name for a coffee shop too. The Dancing Doll.
In the hands of those who love him.
I guess that could...
It's a little long.
Where do you go for coffee? The dancing doll in the hands of those who love him. Right.
All right, let's make every takeaway be a coffee shop. Let's see. Okay, what's the next one?
Follow the footsteps of Nanda Maharaj.
Yeah, I'd get a cup of coffee from there.
Follow the footsteps.
All the footsteps.
Train yourself to have nothing but Krishna, because that's reality.
That one's a little bit wordy, but
they're a little long for coffee shop names.
Uncommon grounds. There's a coffee shop, Danny K says, called
I get it. Uncommon, because it's so uncommonly delicious.
Uncommon grounds. Okay.
Understanding our real identity is the cure.
There's something so adorable about that they would give a sweet to baby Krishna, toddler Krishna, to see him dance.
And
it's
just like shut me down with your and, huh? I wanted us all to relish that thought, Mara.
Well, the and is going to relish it even more.
Oh, okay.
And we all need our God to be a sweet little butter boy.
You see that right there?
Thank you. Thank you.
Little butter baby.
Little butter. Thank you for that mock debate today, Kaustubha.
Yeah,
made us seem like we were really angry at each other there for a second. We fooled them all. Even fooled me.
See, we just need a policy, Raghunath. We need a good policy for announcements. I'm not against announcements.
You want to pick this up now? You want to pick this up? I thought we dropped it. You want to pick it back up?
Let's try to find our common ground. I believe there should be some announcements. Do you agree with that? There should be some?
I agree with that.
I also believe that they should be somewhat controlled. Do you agree with that?
I do.
Okay, so we got some common ground here.
I believe we shouldn't cut off each other when they're on a roll.
Raghunath, if you're going to tell me about cutting people off.
You just cut me off.
If you're going to tell me about cutting people off. Maybe we could put all of our transcripts through AI and see who cuts off the other person more.
Are you trying to be right, or are you trying to find connection? Can I help you with your communication skills right now?
Seek to understand me, Raghunath.
I can be that guy for you.
Seek to understand me.
I can be that guy to help you to your next level in bhakti.
Let's disagree with that. Let's disagree without division here, Raghunath.
Thanks for joining us, everyone. Is happening, and the Wisdom of the Sages retreat, its Super Soul is almost sold out. So, if you're interested in joining us, you better get on this. You better get on this at wisdomofthesages.com. We're going to have a big Grandma Terry 99th year birthday party. Mara's going to make a special cake for Grandma.
That's going to be a big deal.
It's going to be a big deal. I'm going to wheel her around. She went to the kirtan. Did you know that? She went to the kirtan at Rumit's. She sat in the front of my yoga class, the entire class. And then she went to the kirtan. And you know what she said to Mara after the kirtan?
What she said?
You're not going to believe this.
Is he drunk?
She said, is he drunk?
Is he drunk? Was she serious?
Yeah,
I think
she was.
serious.
He actually asked like a couple other people as well. She was concerned about you driving us home.
She's never seen me drunk.